blood flow restriction training might be one of the most misunderstood but powerful tools a fighter can use. It looks light. It looks easy. But what you're seeing on the outside is completely different from what's happening inside the muscle. With loads as low as 20 to 30% of your 1-rep max, you can trigger physiological responses that are normally reserved for heavy, high-intensity training. That means strength stimulus, hypertrophy signaling, and metabolic stress, all without the joint damage that usually comes with it. At first glance, it doesn't make sense. Fighters are taught to build real strength and muscle. You need heavy loads, high force output, and progressive overload. But blood flow restriction challenges that idea. By applying controlled pressure to a limb, you partially restrict blood flow during exercise. You're not stopping blood from entering the muscle. You're mainly limiting how it leaves. That small change creates a cascade of physiological effects that dramatically amplify the training stimulus of even light exercises. So instead of asking, how heavy is the weight? The better question becomes, what environment are you creating inside the muscle? When you apply a cuff or wrap, you restrict venous return while maintaining arterial inflow. Blood enters the muscle but cannot escape efficiently, creating a pooling effect. This leads to a rapid drop in local oxygen availability, what we call a hypoxic environment. Under normal conditions, your body follows the size principle. It recruits slow-twitch fibers first and only brings in fast-twitch fibers when the demand is high. But in a hypoxic environment, slow-twitch fibers fatigue much faster due to lack of oxygen. This forces early recruitment of fast-twitch motor units, even though the load is light. At the same time, metabolic byproducts like lactate, hydrogen ions, and inorganic phosphate accumulate quickly. This metabolic stress is one of the primary drivers of muscle hypertrophy. It activates group 3 and 4 afferent nerves, increasing central motor drive and amplifying the perceived intensity of the exercise. On the hormonal side, studies show significant increases in systemic growth hormone levels following BFR sessions, largely driven by lactate accumulation. Locally, there's increased expression of IGF-1 and activation of the mTOR signaling pathway, which directly regulates protein synthesis. There's also evidence that BFR reduces myostatin expression, a protein that normally inhibits muscle growth, further tipping the balance toward hypertrophy. So even though the mechanical tension is low, the metabolic and cellular signaling is extremely high. For fighters, the biggest limiting factor isn't just performance, it's recovery. Combat sports already impose high levels of mechanical stress on the body. Striking, grappling, takedowns, all of these load the joints and connective tissues repeatedly. Adding heavy resistance training on top of that increases cumulative fatigue and injury risk. Blood flow restriction allows fighters to create a hypertrophic and strength maintenance stimulus with minimal external load. That means less compressive force on joints, less tendon strain, and lower systemic fatigue. From a programming perspective, this opens up more training frequency. You can stimulate a muscle without needing long recovery periods, which is critical in a sport where skill training already takes priority. It's not just about building muscle. It's about managing stress so you can keep training consistently. This is where blood flow restriction becomes even more valuable. After an injury, especially to a joint, heavy loading is often not possible. But the absence of load leads to rapid muscle atrophy and neural deconditioning. In some cases, strength can drop significantly within just a couple of weeks. BFR changes that equation. Research shows that low-load BFR training can preserve muscle cross-sectional area and even increase strength during periods of immobilization or reduced loading. This is partly due to maintained protein synthesis and reduced muscle breakdown. There's also a vascular benefit. BFR promotes angiogenesis, the formation of new blood vessels, and improves endothelial function, which enhances nutrient delivery to recovering tissues. Additionally, the repeated hypoxia reperfusion cycles may improve mitochondrial efficiency and cellular resilience. For a fighter, that means you're not just passively recovering. You're actively maintaining your physical base while protecting the injured structure. Blood flow restriction can also influence your aerobic system, including VO2 max. VO2 max is essentially your body's ability to take in, transport, and use oxygen during intense exercise. At first, BFR seems purely anaerobic because of the low oxygen environment. But that's exactly what drives adaptation. When you train under restricted blood flow, your muscles are forced to operate with limited oxygen availability. This creates a strong stimulus for improving oxygen efficiency. Over time, your body responds by increasing capillary density, improving mitochondrial function, and enhancing oxidative enzyme activity. In simple terms, your muscles become better at extracting and using oxygen when it's available. Some studies combining low-intensity cardio, like walking or cycling, with BFR have shown improvements in VO2 max that are comparable to traditional moderate-intensity endurance training. There's also an increase in stroke volume and peripheral oxygen extraction, meaning your cardiovascular system becomes more efficient without needing high-impact or high-intensity sessions. For fighters, this is huge. You can improve your aerobic base, recover faster between exchanges, and maintain output longer, without adding extra wear and tear from long road work or high-volume conditioning. It's a smarter way to build gas in the tank. Beyond muscle growth, BFR has a direct impact on muscular endurance and fatigue resistance. Because of the rapid accumulation of metabolites, your muscles are constantly being exposed to high levels of metabolic stress. Over time, this improves buffering capacity, the ability to tolerate and manage acidity caused by hydrogen ions. It also enhances capillary density, improving oxygen delivery when normal blood flow is restored. On a neural level, the increased activation of high-threshold motor units under fatigue conditions trains your nervous system to maintain output even when energy availability is low. For fighters, this translates to better performance in later rounds. When others slow down due to lactate accumulation and fatigue, your body is more adapted to operate under those exact conditions. You're essentially training your body to be efficient in chaos. To get these benefits, application matters. The pressure should typically be around 40 to 80% of arterial occlusion pressure, enough to restrict venous return without fully blocking arterial inflow. Too loose, and you lose the effect. Too tight, and you risk cutting off circulation. Loads should stay light, usually 20 to 30% of your 1-rep max. The goal is not mechanical tension, but metabolic stress. A common protocol is 30 repetitions in the first set, followed by 3 sets of 15 reps, with short rest periods of about 30 seconds. This keeps the muscle under continuous stress and maintains the hypoxic environment. Exercises are usually simple, like curls, extensions, or bodyweight movements, because the goal is local fatigue, not technical complexity. Sample BFR week for a fighter. Monday, post-grappling. BFR leg extensions plus bicep curls, 3x15. Wednesday, light striking day. BFR walking lunges, low-intensity cardio. Friday, injury rehab focus. BFR triceps extensions only on the affected side. But more is not better. Excessive pressure can compress nerves and lead to numbness or tingling. Doing too much volume can also create excessive fatigue without additional benefit. Another mistake is relying on BFR as a complete replacement for traditional strength training. While it's effective for hypertrophy and maintenance, maximal strength and power still require high load and high velocity training. BFR is a supplement, not a substitute. Blood flow restriction training is not about avoiding hard work. It's about applying the right kind of stress at the right time. It allows you to create a powerful anabolic, endurance, and even aerobic stimulus with minimal structural cost. Less joint stress, less recovery time, and more consistent training. For fighters, that means better conditioning, faster recovery, and the ability to stay dangerous from the first round to the last. And in a sport where the margin between winning and losing is often measured in how much you have left at the final bell, BFR isn't a shortcut. It's a smarter way to suffer. If you find this video interesting, don't forget to like, share it with your friends, and subscribe for more science-based content.